You know that feeling? When doing good work and getting credit for it feel like two totally different jobs, where the system seems to reward what looks good on a report instead of what actually works in reality? Yeah, you're not alone. And today, we're going to dive into a playbook that's designed to fix exactly that. All right, so first up, let's talk about the core of the problem. It's this thing called the legibility trap. And the idea is, the very systems we build to encourage amazing work, whether it's in science or government or even our own companies, they often wind up doing the exact opposite. They end up rewarding the most trivial, easy-to-count stuff. Which really brings us to this huge question, and I'm betting you've asked this yourself at some point. Why? Why does the stuff that's easy to stick in a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint deck, why does that so often win out over the work that actually, truly matters? Well, the answer has a name. It's called legibility bias. And honestly, this is kind of the villain of our story today. It's this magnetic pull inside any big organization to just favor the things that are easy to measure, the things that look neat and tidy in a report, even if those things are just shallow copies of the real, messy, high-impact work we should be doing. And look, this isn't just about being a little inefficient. The stakes are way higher. There's a real, almost Orwellian danger here, right? Where reality itself starts to get bent out of shape just to fit the system. When these easy-to-measure proxies become the official truth, then real, groundbreaking discovery that gets relabeled as risk and just vanishes. Okay, so this all sounds a bit abstract, right? Let's make it super concrete. We're going to look at a tale of two studies. It's the perfect way to see this bias in action, where we compare a typical, legible but shallow study against one that's way more rigorous. So it always starts with the question you ask. The legible study asks something that sounds great to the media, like, do vibrant streets feel cooler? I mean, it sounds nice, but what on earth does vibrant actually mean? The field-first approach, on the other hand, asks something sharp and measurable. Do specific things, like trees or awnings, change the actual heat exposure and how long people physically stick around? See the difference? One's a vibe, the other's a verifiable fact. And that difference in the question leads to a massive difference in what you measure. The shallow study, it invents something like a vibrancy score. This is a textbook example of what the source material calls proxy worship. You're literally worshiping a stand-in for reality. But the field-first study? Nope. It uses direct physical measurements of temperature. And it analyzes actual observed behavior. No vibes, just physics. So what do you get at the end of the day? Well, the legible study gives you a super catchy press release that's probably meaningless. The field-first study gives you open, verifiable data that anyone can check. It's a soundbite versus reproducible truth. One is built for headlines, the other is built for actual, real-world knowledge. Okay, so how can you spot this stuff out in the wild? Here's a handy checklist of red flags. You really want to keep an eye out for things like vibe scores that stand in for hard data, or these huge policy claims that never, ever mention the cost. And here's the big one. If a study isn't designed so that someone else can run it again, that is a massive warning sign. All right, so we've spent a lot of time on the problem. Let's pivot to the solution. It's called the field-first playbook, and it's a system that's designed for reality, not for filing reports. This whole playbook is built on just a few simple but powerful principles. Outcome first, proxy last. That's the direct antidote to that proxy worship we talked about. Prototype before decree. I mean, that's just common sense, right? Test something small in the real world before you make a giant decision. Then there's replication credit, actually rewarding people who verify results, not just the first person to shout about them. It's all about small, fast experiments built on a rock-solid foundation of open MRV. And this MRV idea is absolutely key to the whole thing. It stands for measurement, reporting, and verification. Just think of it as the open source proof of your work. You're publishing everything, the raw data, the code, the whole shebang, so that anyone can rerun your numbers and check your claims for themselves. It's how you build real trust. Okay, so the principles sound great, but you're probably wondering, what does this actually look like day to day? How does it work? Well, the whole point is to get you from a new idea to real data in weeks, not years. The actual workflow is surprisingly simple. It's really just 3 steps. First, you stand up a micro lab. We're talking minimal gear and a super simple one-page procedure. Second, you run a micropilot that's laser-focused on one sharp question and one key performance indicator. And third, you publish a short data note, and you attach all your data and code. That's literally it. Simple.
And get this, that whole cycle, from having the idea to publishing the data, it takes about 8 to 10 weeks. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. In the time it normally takes a big project just to get through the first round of approvals, this model is already delivering verifiable results. It's a total game changer for speed, turning these year-long bureaucratic slogs into quick, focused sprints of actual discovery.
Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, this is great for scientists in a lab coat, but what about me? The real power of this approach is that it works almost anywhere. It's not just a research method, it's a whole new operating system for getting things done right.
Think about it. In civic life, you could have communities proposing and tracking their own micropilots. Inside your own organization, you could use it to run better projects and make clear, data-driven decisions. In a classroom, you could test new teaching methods. And in government, you could pilot new policies before a huge, expensive, and possibly flawed national rollout. And hey, for any managers or leaders out there, here's the playbook to actually get started. A 30-60-90 plan. In the first 30 days, you set up your macro lab and you pick one sharp question. By day 60, you're already running a pilot with open data. And by day 90, you've published your findings and you're making a clear, informed decision. Do we scale this? Do we tweak it? Or do we kill it? It's a real concrete way to break free from that endless cycle of meetings about meetings.
So let's just leave you with this one big question to chew on. What if we rebuilt our entire system around a different definition of truth? What if truth wasn't just what sounds good in a press release, but what actually survives a rerun? What survives being tested again and again by other people in the real world? Just imagine what we could build then.